Okay, let's see, what are we after here? Let's go down in here and look. This is what we're after right here. This is the automatic transmission fluid filter. This black thing right here that I just wiped the dust off of. So today I'm going to show you how I change the automatic transmission fluid and the automatic transmission fluid filter. I don't always change the filter. I think it's more important to get the fluid changed more often and the filter less often. It's up to you. When I look in the service manual, the factory Acura service manual, it has service intervals up to 120,000 miles. There's no mention of ever changing the ATF filter. So I called the dealership and I asked the Acura dealer, if I came in and paid you to change my transmission fluid, will you change the filter too? And they said, nope, we never change them. I was surprised. They say that's lifetime filter, doesn't have to be changed. They do sell it. I've changed it before a couple of times on this car. I don't do it very often. But the dealership said it's lifetime. Now, who defines lifetime? Do they think the lifetime of the car is 100,000 miles? This car has well over 600,000. So I can't see anybody going that long with the same original factory filter still in there. So today, since I'm going to change the transmission fluid, I'm going to show you how I change the filter too. So I'm going to do the filter first. That's done above the car. And then once that's done, I'll drain the transmission fluid out and show you how to refill it. So two-step process. Like I say, the intervals are up to you. So once you've gone and bought 4 quarts of fluid, it can be Honda or Acura, it doesn't matter. ATF DW1 is the important thing. There's other things you can buy from the auto parts store, synthetic, regular, but everybody I know that works on Honda's, Acuras for a living, they say stick to the DW-1. It's not that expensive. It's the same, maybe even less than the auto parts stores. So just stick with the factory recommended. Like I say, I've got on my original transmission, I got 592,000 miles before I had to have it replaced. At the dealership, I was on a long road trip cross country when it went out. The only other time the transmission was repaired was under the nationwide class action lawsuit when the car had less than 100,000 miles. Everybody in America that had a 3.2 TL could have their transmission bearings rebuilt. There was a lubrication system problem in the original design that led to failure. And so before mine failed, before it failed, it went in for free. They took the transmission out, replaced some bearings, and redid the lubrication system in there. I don't know exactly what they did to it, but it's part of a nationwide recall. Didn't cost me anything. Got a free loaner car for a couple weeks. So I see some haters put comments in my prior video saying that I had the transmission worked on many times. I did not. I had it under a warranty issue one time. They put the same transmission back in, and then I got 592,000 miles out of it. And then something happened internally, and it just boiled out all the fluid on the freeway, and the transmission quit running and coasted off to the side of the road and had it towed. And so I don't think anybody can get more than that out of an automatic transmission. That is a lot of miles, well over 500,000 miles on the original transmission. Now it has a factory refurbished, rebuilt transmission in there. It looks new when you look at it. It came in a crate. It was flown into Las Vegas, and the dealership put it in. And it's the same, original casing and everything. And it came with a 3-year, 36,000 mile factory warranty nationwide. And now I have 36,000 miles. It's been a little more than 3 years, so it's expired. But I did change the transmission fluid once already at 10,000 miles, and all looked good. And now that it's got 36,000, I'm going to do the fluid and the filter together. Okay, so once you've got the materials you need and you've got the tools you need, let's get started. So using my 10 millimeter, take off these 4 bolts in the 4 corners of this plastic cover. So lift this cover, set it aside somewhere safe. So undo this strap on the cruise control wire, and there's 4 screws on the air cleaner cover. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take those 4 screws out and loosen them. They don't have to come all the way out. Now here on the throttle body, loosen this clamp screw so we can get the snorkel off. Okay, take this hose out of the way. Now pull this metal hose out of the snorkel. Get this one wire out of the way. Goes through 2 different holders here. Just get that out of the way. And then there's a hose here on the back side of the snorkel. Pull that one out, and the snorkel should be free now. Okay, let's see. We got this unscrewed. Should be able to pull that snorkel out. This wire out of the way. And there we go. We got this out of the car. Put that somewhere safe. Okay, let's see. What are we after here? Let's go down in here and look. This is what we're after right here. This is the automatic transmission fluid filter. This black thing right here that I just wiped the dust off of. We're also looking at our filler bolt right here. Over here so you can see it better. This is our filler bolt. So before you drain your fluid out, make sure you can get that filler bolt out first before you do any draining. Okay, first thing I want to do is take out 2 bolts. This bolt and this bolt down here that hold this thing against this gold bracket. So 2 bolts are coming out. So you don't have enough clearance for a socket on here, so get yourself a box wrench. 10 M&Ms will do. There we go. Let me break the other one loose. I'm sorry, I'm going to block the camera probably. Go. Okay, I got the 2 little 10 millimeter bolts out. Okay, now the secret is to follow this black pipe right here. Follow that back just a little ways. Right here, you'll see a bolt right here. Can you see that bolt? So this bolt next to this little wire has to come out so that you can move that pipe out of the filter. So let's take that bolt, 10 millimeter right there. We'll get that guy out. Okay, I got that little bolt out of that bracket. So now we can move the pipe out of the filter. Now we can either pull this pipe out now, or we could take this bolt out of the gold bracket and this bolt out of the gold bracket, which I think I'll do that now. I'll take these two bolts out and then we'll pull the pipe out. You could do it before or after. Okay, I got the two bolts out. The longer one goes towards the battery and the shorter one goes towards the back of the car. So, oh, and by the way, the bolt that was way back here, that is the shortest of the first three bolts that I took out. So now what you got to do is pry between the gold bracket and the black bracket. Do not pry between the pipe and the black bracket. Don't pry right here. Pry in between these two to make it pop out of the filter. It's just a rubber O-ring in there, so you got to be gentle. I'll probably get a big flat screwdriver in there instead. And I'll probably want to put a paper towel underneath it because some fluid might come out. There's no pressure, but a little bit might dribble. Okay, a little more prying. Yeah, a big screwdriver works a little better. Don't damage that rubber O-ring. Keep the screwdriver away from the O-ring. There we go. There, it's out. There we go. Ah, quite a bit of fluid came out there. Okay. Let me get this gold bracket out of the way. Okay. Clean that up. And we'll get another wrench to get the filter unscrewed. Okay. So this next step, you can either use an adjustable wrench, if you have an adjustable wrench, or if you have a 24mm open end wrench or box wrench, either one, you can put the 24 on there. It's not on very tight. I will put the torque specs of the filter, the fill bolt and the drain bolt in the description of this video in case you're interested in torque specs. You are working with an aluminum housing, so you don't want to over torque. Anyway, let me get this wrench on there and then I'll restart the camera. I got the wrench on there and let me break this loose. There we go. Okay. Okay, once you've broken the filter loose, with the wrench, you can start to spin it by hand. Now the filter is going to have fluid inside the filter, so it will drip when taking it out. I'll plug one end with my thumb and tip it up that direction when I take it out of the car. Okay, I just heard the rubber O-ring seal give a little pop, so I know it's almost out. Okay, whoa, there we go. Okay, I took a can of brake clean and I sprayed and cleaned up the mess there and used some paper towels. So now let's reassemble. Okay, so I have my new filter that I got at AutoZone. It's a Duralast TF558. It says made in Taiwan. So looking at it, It looks identical to the one we took out. And what you do is lubricate the rubber O-ring. I just dipped my finger in some of the old ATF and got that lubricated. So, just like any spin-on filter, line up the holes very carefully. And spin it on by hand. So, lining up the holes very carefully, just turn it by hand, feeling them threads. I don't want any cross threading here. You got to turn this thing like 20 times. Okay, let me get my 24 M&M wrench on there. For so long, I think I'm going to use the adjustable wrench. And the rubber seal, the rubber O-ring is going to seal this, so you don't need to put a Gorilla strain on this thing. Just snug it up, and I'll put the Torx back in if you really want to put a torque wrench on it. If you've been working on cars a long time, you can pretty well estimate the amount of torque. Knowing the spec, you can estimate how much torque you're putting on it. This is only about 6 inches where my hand is at on the wrench, so it's half of a foot. Okay, I put my long wrench so I can calculate the torque properly since it's one foot long, and that is properly torqued. And now I'll put the gold bracket on first. So it goes in this direction. There we go. And the longer bolt, the longer of the two, goes towards the battery of the car. Down at the bottom, it's underneath this thing. Let me put this up here, tuck it under a wire. Oh gosh, tuck it up under a wire so we can see better. There. So the long bolt, the longer of the two, goes down in the bottom of the bracket, and it's up against the firewall, so you got to kind of finagle that bolt around to get it up in there, kind of like tip it down and then come up into the hole. So put the head of it down and come up in. Okay, I've got both of the bolts started by hand into the holes. I'll just keep turning them by hand until I can't turn them by my fingers anymore, and then I'll put my 10mm box wrench on it. Okay, there's the back one. Okay, get your 10mm box on those two bolts and snug them down so that they don't vibrate loose and fall out on the freeway. You don't need to overdo the torque on those. And now let's put the pipe in there, lubricate that little O-ring, and make sure there's no debris on that. So let's wipe it off, put a little lubricate it with some ATF. We clean that off, put a little lube of ATF on it, and let's put that in the hole there. Wiggle it in there. There we go, popped in nicely. Now 2 bolts here, same size, and the shorter one back there, all 10mm. So for this screw in the back here, right here, next to my finger, you're going to have to wiggle the pipe around a little bit to get the bolt to thread in. So just use one hand to wiggle the pipe a little bit, and then try threading it in until you get those threads lined up. Always, always thread as far as you can by hand before using a wrench on it. You don't want to cross thread and damage the threads. Okay, so that's in, and we got some light here. We got these two going in by hand. Okay, they're all the way in, so let's get our 10 mm wrench and tighten those up, all three of them. Okay, 10 millimeter. Left tight. It's always fun to work left-handed and try and hold the camera and vice versa. All the bolts are now tightened down, and if you want to replace this O-ring, I'll put the part number in the description from Honda Acura. Same with the filter from Honda Acura, I'll put that part number in. This filter at the dealership now, if you can get it, it's like between $92 and $110. So I just went with the one at AutoZone this time, and I think it'll be okay. It looks pretty high quality. The internals look identical to the factory one, outside, so I think it'll be fine. Let's put the air cleaner and snorkel back on, hook up the hoses, and then we'll go underneath and do the fluid change. Okay, so let's put the snorkel back in. And connect everything and tighten it all down. Okay. Tighten down these 4 screws. Make sure it's actually on there properly and seated. Put our cruise control line, strap that back in, connect this hose in the front. Let's go squeeze that clamp. Put this hose to the metal connector in the back. Put this electrical wire through the 2 holders. Put this back in the 2 holders. Make sure this hose came out of the clamp back here. Oh, also tighten down the clamp on the snorkel. And now put the top cover back on with our 4 10 millimeter bolts. Snug those up. Don't have to over torque those. Do all 4 of those. Okay, what we got to do now is loosen the filler bolt before we drain any ATF to make sure we can actually fill it back up again. It'd be terrible if you drained it all out and then you couldn't get this bolt out, so you couldn't fill it up, then you couldn't drive the car. So 17 millimeter and a big breaker bar. I don't want to break my camera doing this, so let me see if I can do this with the light in the way here. There we go. That's only supposed to be like 32 foot-pounds, but the heat cycles make it yet really, really tight. There we go. And there is a aluminum O washer on there. So that is loose now. We'll leave it covered and do the drain. We already put the car on ramps before we started this job, so the only thing we have to do under the car is take a 3/8 inch socket wrench and put it into this square hole right here. Okay, and break that loose. So it's probably very tight. I'm going to put a breaker bar on it, move the camera a little so I don't hit the camera. So I've got this little pipe here. You can use some thick PVC pipe, like whatever fits over your wrench, like a 1-inch PVC if you don't have a metal pipe. So I'm getting some angle on this and break it loose. It shouldn't be torqued very tight, but because of the heat cycles, it appears to be tight. So I'm probably going to have to put my foot on it, break it loose. There we go. That is broken loose. So let me get my wrench out of the way. Get a paper towel ready. This is going to be Niagara Falls when it comes out. It should be fairly warm but not hot. But it's pretty cold now. The garage is hot. So the trick is don't pull the plug all the way out. Use it as a little bit of a stopper. I'm going to move the camera so you can get a better angle on that. And this starts flowing out because my hand is kind of blocking it. I got a drain pan underneath here. There we go, Niagara Falls. Put the pan on the ground. You're going to get about 3 to 3.5 quarts out. When I did the filter above, I did notice a lot of it dripped on the garage floor. So you might want to put some cardboard down or kitty litter, at least a pan under here. I had to use some paper towels and clean up the mess. This is a magnetic plug. Hopefully you can see that there. Magnetic plug. So when I wipe this plug, you should see a little bit of particles on it, but not much. You can see some, put up to the light there. Can you see that in the light? Oh, it's too bright for the camera. I can move the light on the other side maybe of this to illuminate it better. There we go. I don't know if you can see some of those particles standing up when I wiped it. So because, you know, any transmission is going to wear over time as the gears mesh together. This transmission now has 36,000 miles on it. This is the second fluid change. I did it once at 10,000, now again at 36,000. So this ATF that's coming out has about 26,000 miles on it. And it's not unusual to have some metal particles on here. That's why this is magnetic. Between this and the filter, it'll keep your fluid as clean as possible. But all machinery wears down over time with heat and mileage. So let me wipe this all the way off. Get all those little metal particles off. And this O-ring, I'll put the part number for the aluminum O-ring. You should replace it. There's one on the fill, one on the drain. And replace it if you can. If not, you might have to reuse it. It's not the worst thing in the world if you have to reuse it. They do expand and contract with heat. Let me look in my workbench drawer. I think I have a little baggie of these. I found my little baggie of 18 millimeter inside diameter trans drain washers. Looks like the part number is 90471-PX4-000. And it's 18 millimeter inside diameter. So I do have extra new ones. I think we've let that drip long enough. Let's plug it up. Give it a little wipe. Line up those threads carefully. Thread it in with our new aluminum O-washer. Get our wrench on it. Get the direction right here. There we go. Righty tighty. And the torque on this is 36 foot-pounds. The aluminum washer is going to do the torquing. This is only 6 inches, so you can double that for 6 inches. If you want to be a fanatic, you can put your torque wrench on it, and this is tight. You might be asking, what do you do with used ATF? Well, this is basically like a hydraulic fluid. It's approximately 10 weight oil. So just like engine oil, you're going to take it back to the auto parts store where you normally buy your engine oil and pour it in their oil recycling container. It's a big metal tank in the back room. So just pour it into your used engine oil recycling can and take it back to your auto parts store. Okay, so the fill plug, if you need a new aluminum O-ring, it is 24 millimeter 90441-PK4-000, and that is for the fill plug. Okay, so here is the fill plug, and here is the new O-ring. I have many of these, so I'm going to go ahead and change it. And let's just set that there for now. Let's get our giant funnel. This is the giant funnel that I'm going to use. It is as long as my 18-inch breaker bar, so it's an 18-inch long funnel, and we'll put that in there. And I'll weave this, let's see, there's the hole down there. Weave this between these air hoses so it stands up straight. Gonna get there. There you go, you can see that. This will stand up straight by itself. There we go. So now we can fill ATF. Okay, so we're going to need at least 3 quarts of genuine Acura or Honda ATF DW1. Let's pour this in. I'm going to go ahead and pour 3, and then we'll check the level of the fluid. The car is not level, it's on ramps, so we'll just put in 3 and then we'll move the car and top it off. Back at the bottom of the funnel, making sure nothing is leaking. Did a quick check under the car, nothing is leaking, so I'll continue filling to get the 3 quarts in. Just want to make sure I don't waste any fluid. Fill this funnel almost all the way to the top, and it's not going to spill out down below. You can see down there nothing is spilling out. I want to show you the nice pretty pink color of this fluid when it's going in. Hopefully the camera captures that, how cherry pink that is. Well, red, cherry red we'll call it. Very clear. Over time, when you're driving, the fluid gets all burned and brown. After about 30,000 miles, kind of brownish. You want to change it. When you compare this with what is in the drain pan, big difference. So now we got 3 quarts in. We got to get the car on level ground. So you can either put the plug in just finger tight, back it off the ramps, and then get the car on level ground and check the ATF dipstick, that's the yellow one, and see if it's full. Or I'll just use a floor jack, jack up the front, remove my ramps, and drop the car down so I don't have to do that step of plugging it and moving the car. So I'll just get my floor jack and lower the car down. I've got the dipstick out, the yellow one for the ATF, and the fluid is right at the top dot, so that's good. Hasn't been driven yet. I put exactly 3 quarts in, so I will leave it like that, plug it up, drive it, check the level after driving it. This car, if you don't know, the ATF is right here next to the battery. And get the camera down here. Let me turn sideways a little bit. Hopefully you can see that, where I'm going with the dipstick. Right there. Let me get the camera lower. Blocking the light here. There we go. That is the yellow dipstick right next to the battery. That's your ATF. So pull it out, wipe it, put it back in, and then check it. Put our plug with our new aluminum O-ring on it. And thread it in by hand. And we'll set it in by hand. Put the camera here. We will get our 17mm socket. And this is only 32 foot-pounds, so don't kill yourself on tightening that. The aluminum O-washer will keep it from leaking. Let's see what color this old fluid is on a white paper towel. Pretty brown. Pretty brown, not pink. Okay, so after a little drive and checking the dipstick, all looks good, so we can call that job done. If you like this video and it was helpful to you, please give me a like and a thumbs up.